Lesson 9.3, measure with a centimeter ruler. So we are going back a couple chapters and we're gonna talk about our centimeter ruler for these last few lessons. Okay, so everyone had their ruler sent home with them. When we were still in school, we were talking about inches. So that was the side that went from 0 to 12. Now our focus is the centimeter side, which goes from 0 to 30. We line up our ruler just like we did with inches, the same way with centimeters. You want to find your end line or your 0 mark. So sometimes your ruler, the actual end of your ruler might be your starting mark. Sometimes your starting mark might be a little ways in. We have measured with centimeters some in chapters 10 and 11 just because they throw in review problems along the way. So we have used our centimeter rulers a little, but we're just going to dive a little deeper in the next few lessons. So we are on page 615, lesson 9.3, and this first page is crossed off. So on to page 616. So up at the top it says, what is the length of the crayon to the nearest centimeter? So they have the ruler under it, they lined up the crayon, and when we look, our crayon ends almost at the 9 centimeter mark, so we would write 9 centimeters. Just like with inches, remember when we were measuring with inches, if we were measuring and it fell between like the 5 and the 6, if it just was a little past the 5, so not quite halfway, we would say it was closer to 5 inches. But if something fell over halfway or a little over between the 5 and the 6, we would round that up to 6 inches. So that's the same for centimeters, so they are closer together, but you'll see a little bit longer line halfway between like the 8 and the 9. So if it's not quite to that halfway point, we would keep it on the 8. If it hits the halfway point or goes over, we would round it up to the 9. So the same rules apply when we're doing centimeters as what we talked about with inches. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3 on this first page here, you are going to measure these objects in centimeters. So just make sure that your ruler is on the centimeter side. You'll line it up and write about how many centimeters each of these objects are. You'll flip it over to page 617. You're going to do the same thing for number 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then number 8 at the bottom is crossed off. All right, page 618, number 9. The crayon was on the table next to the centimeter ruler. The left edge of the crayon was not lined up with the 0 mark on the ruler. What is the length of the crayon, and explain how you found your answer? So we know when we use a ruler, we would always measure, or we'd always line it up with the 0 mark. Well, this crayon just happened to be on the table next to a ruler, and it didn't start at the 0 mark, it started at the 3 centimeter mark. So how long is this crayon actually? You can either figure it out using this ruler, or if you want to use your actual ruler. And then it says explain how you found your answer. So tell me how long the crayon actually is, because we know it's not actually 11 centimeters. Yes, the end of the crayon stops there, but you have to remember we didn't line it up with our 0 mark. It started at the 3. So tell me how long the crayon actually is and explain how you got your answer. And number 10, this is Lee's string. Hannah's string is 7 centimeters long. Whose string is longer? Use a centimeter ruler to find out and explain. So we know this string here is Lee's. So we're going to measure it. We're going to figure out how long Lee's string is. And then it tells us Hannah's string is 7 centimeters long. The question is, whose string is longer? So you would either write Lee because, or you would write Hannah because, and then tell me why that string is longer. Then on to your assignment, page 619, number 1 and number 2, you are just going to measure the two objects and write about how many centimeters long it is. Number 3, draw a string that is about 8 centimeters long. Use the pictures above to help you. Then use a centimeter ruler to check the length. So you are going to draw, so after you measure these two, you are going to draw a piece of string that you think is about 8 centimeters long. Then, after you draw it, you're going to actually use your ruler to check and see how close you were. And then number 4 at the bottom is crossed off. Flip it over. You're on page 620. Number 1, use a centimeter ruler. What is the length of this pencil to the nearest centimeter? Number 2, what is the time on this clock? Number 3, what is the total value of this group of coins? You have a dime, a nickel, and a penny. And this time, they want you to show with a dollar sign, so you'll have a dollar sign and a decimal. Remember, if you don't have enough coins to make an actual dollar, we wouldn't put like $1 there. We would put a 0 where our dollar place value is. So remember, let me just grab my board quick. What I mean is, so like this one says dollar, and then it has your blank here. So we use a dollar sign. However many dollars you have goes on this side of the decimal, and then however many coins or the remaining change you have goes over here. So let's say my coins don't add up to at least $1, so I would write $0. So if I had like a dime, a quarter, and a penny, I know a dime, a quarter, and a penny doesn't equal $1. But because I have a dollar sign, I have to have a dollar sign and decimal, so I know I have $0. And if I add this up, I know 25 plus 10 is 35, plus 1 more cent is 36. So I have $0.36. So that should help you on that one when it has the dollar sign. And then the other way they want you to show it is just in plain old cents. So you won't have the decimal there. You'll just write how many cents you have. Number 4, use the line plot. How many pencils are 5 inches long? So you're going to use your line plot here and tell me how many pencils are 5 inches long. And then that is lesson 9.3.